Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you're having a great day. Just wanted to tell you all that it's starting to warm up and in Cincinnati, which is nice for a little while. I feel like it's going to be one of those Indian summer things where it's like nice and then all of a sudden it gets cold again. So
Right.
I be right back in the chill. So, but hopefully it's warming up around where you were at, and hopefully life is going well. Oh, Danny, us dads, we do a lot around the house while our significant others, partners are grinding it out in the workforce and whatnot. You have an army of children. I have
I
two.
do. Yeah.
And
I had to make sure I had enough people to take care of me when I got old,
there you go. Yeah.
which
So
is 30 years from now, by the way, not now.
I find it interesting. I get dads that talk about this all the time to me, but it seems that there's this interesting conversation around how do I get my kids to do specific chores? How early should you start? Like what does that look like? All the different things. And you've got one in college all the way down into the elementary ages, and mine are in elementary, but I feel like maybe you and I could give some insight into those questions, especially with dads who they have younger kids and they're trying to figure it
Right.
out
Yeah.
and go from there.
And the amount of work that you have to do, if your kids get in school, everybody's like, oh, what are you going to do with all your free time? I don't, I don't have any free time. I mean, I will say I do now that one's in college, one's in high school, and it's a lot easier. But like when your kids first go, you barely have 3 hours, and that's
Yeah.
just not enough. And if you look at the amount of work that we do on a daily basis, because most of us take 90%, if not 95 or 99%, because we don't want our partners to have to handle that or worry about that. And
Right.
it's kind of easier if we do it, you
Well,
know?
and two, like, what is free time? Honestly, like, I get, like,
Right.
let's define this here, because just because the kids are not in this house doesn't mean that this house cleans itself, or
Right.
this or this house repairs itself, or this house goes grocery shopping for itself, or
Mhm.
whatever it is. Like, free time is interesting. I I think that that's the interesting part with having conversations, especially when you run into people in the public and they're like, "Oh, it must be so nice. Your kids are in school and you got free time." Like, can you explain to me what your
Right.
definition of free time is? Because
Right.
I think even from a stay-at-home mom's point of view, like they would even say like free time, like it's sort of like, sorry, when I hear free time, I think playoffs. You want to talk about playoffs, like.
Nice. Nice.
Like free time? You want to talk about free time?
This
Yeah,
doesn't happen.
it doesn't happen unless they're actual scheduled things that are considered free time, which is what we talk about all the time with self-care and having
Hmm.
those moments. But that is completely different than the kids are at school. I've got from eight for me. It's 8 o'clock drop off. Like I usually get them to school about hopefully by 7:30, 7:45 at the latest, and back to pick them up at 2:30,
Hmm.
2:45, that kind of thing. So, you know, that's not a lot of there's not a lot of wiggle room there, and
No.
in those hours and minutes go by so fast.
Hmm.
Uh, but at the same time too, there's a lot of things that can get overlooked. Like small things, you're like, oh, like I need to get to some of these bigger issues at hand, like deal with them at the house. It's like
Yeah.
grocery shopping takes a while. Okay. And that can be enjoyable too. Like throw on your earbuds and listen to a
Right.
podcast, listen to some music, listen to a book, whatever it
It's
is.
it's daddy time or dad
It's
time. Sorry, it's dad
it,
time. My bad. Dad
no,
time.
you're good. Yeah. But and that's not a bad thing either. Like to have that time for that, like completely
Hmm.
just kind of zone out. But like for my kids, when the kids come home, aside from their homework, they're always like, "Oh, I want this. Oh, can I do that? Oh, like question, question, question." And it's like, some of these questions could be stacked with, well, what are you willing to do to get that request met? Because it's not
Hmm.
really something that has to be met, but at the same time, too, like we're a family, we're a team,
Right.
and we work together. So there are tasks to be done,
Hmm.
and it's how you plan out how you're going to tackle those issues, I think, that are going to
Yeah.
make your life really hard or really easy.
Hmm. And one of the most valuable things I feel that we can give our kids is the ability to solve their own problems. You
Yes.
know, you look at the things that are around you, and granted, you want to help them, you want to teach them, you want to support them, you want to encourage them, but at the same time, your kid says, "I can't find my backpack." Okay. Well, I'm going to teach you how to put your backpack somewhere in the same place every single day. And if that means I put a hook on the wall, or we build you a little cubby or a space, or put a sign up, my backpack goes here, whatever it is. But teaching them little things like that so that your mornings are way less stressful because
Yeah.
your kids are the ones answering that. Your kids are the ones finding answering that, or finding the answer to that problem, looking at it and going, huh, well, I know I brought my backpack in here. Oh, I remember I was doing homework on the couch or something, and I that's where I took, and there it is, and giving them that information and those skills so that they can. I, I mean, I hate to think of it this way, but be ready to leave. Be
Yes.
ready to when they become old enough to leave the house and move on and start their own life. And littlest things in the world, like
Mm-hmm.
changing the thermostat, which is a huge thing for me because I met so many college kids who never, ever understood how to change a thermostat because they would have it on cool and they would just change the amount and then it would get to be winter and they wouldn't switch it to heat. And then we'd get emergency calls at 2 o'clock in the morning and be like, "Oh man, yeah, my heat's out. I don't know what's going on." And I'm like, "I'll be right there." And I go out and I'm like, "And this is how you've had it, right? Have you adjusted this at all? Have you done this? Okay, just want to check where we're at, make sure we got my diagnostics okay." You're gonna smell a little burning smell as I click it over to heat, and there it is. And they were just like, "Oh my God, oh, is that all you have to do?" And like, if you're not taught to do it, you don't know to do it.
Well, and the same thing too with a furnace, and you've got filters, and you need to change out those
Hmm.
filters. Life gets busy. We had our furnace downstairs right before it started to get super cold. It was like maybe like the one of the first cold days. We're like, why is our furnace running so hard? Like, what is going on? Like, I mean, it was just going and going and going, and I'm like, this is so odd. What is
Yeah.
up? And I walked downstairs and I pulled the filter out after turning off the furnace, of course. And I am just like, oh, that's why. Because there's a concrete block blocking the air. It's just basically, it was literally just caked on,
Oh
you
man.
know, all this. I'm like, wow, I have really neglected a
I
lot on that.
I
That's bad.
I'm embarrassed to even know you right now. What do you didn't change your filter?
Yeah,
Man,
I
it's a
usually
30-day
do. I
filter,
forgot.
isn't it? Is it
Yeah,
30 day? It's a
it's
30
something.
day.
I think it's a 90. It was a 90, and that's why I forgot it. I
That
think
does happen. Yeah, that
because
does
I
happen.
usually put an alarm on my phone that helps, type of deal for it, but
Yes.
I
Yes.
totally forgot to do that. So yeah, I ran down to Ace Hardware, bought like a pack of three of them. I'm like, gonna make sure I got enough, and
Yep.
came back and switched them out, and it was like the furnace ran for like 5 minutes and shut off, and I'm just like, okay, we're good. Like, because Corey was like, oh gosh, what's going on? Are we gonna have issues? And it's like, no, we're not having issues. We're having just operator
Yeah.
error
Just
issues.
one small mistake. No big deal. I got this,
Right.
baby. I fixed it. Don't
Yeah.
even tell her
So,
how. Don't even tell her how. Just like, no, I took care of it. It's kind of complicated, but don't worry about it. It's working now. We don't have to
oh
call a
no,
repairman.
complete
Dad's here.
complete humility on my side for sure. Like, yeah, I screwed it up. I'm sorry. So, but
My wife can see straight through my bravado. She knows immediately when I'm BSing her, and I'm like, no, it's no big deal. I took it. I'm the man, yeah, I'm the dad, and she's like, no, what happened? I'm like, well, I forgot to push that switch to heat. So,
yep,
I mean,
yep, there it is. But I think too, like just with kids, like you said, like, teaching them skills because they are going to grow up and leave and that type of
Yeah.
deal. And that's always, I think, also for some parents, a tough thing to wrap your mind around because you're just like, oh, I love them. I don't want them to leave. Like, I'm sorry. My kids have done enough things that I'm like, when does 18 happen? Like, uh,
Just
but
needs 6 months. Okay. It just needs 6 months.
yeah, I mean, I've had multiple conversations about with the kids about just like, hey, like these are life skills. These are things that you're gonna need to know how to do because come down the road here soon, 6 years for Hezekiah and he
Hmm.
will be 18 and it's like,
And yeah,
here we go.
right.
You got
And
to
you
know
look
these
at it
things.
and like, I've only got 6 years now.
Oh, it'll fly
What
by
have
so
I
fast.
not, what have I not taught him? What is he missing? Because I'm looking at James and he's 15 and he's getting his driver's license certification done so he can go get his license this summer. And I'm like, I haven't taught him so much. I mean, there's so many things. And granted, he knows how to cook, he knows how to do his laundry. He probably knows how to adjust the thermostat. It's a digital, so it's easy. But I, one thing, and this is kind of a joke, but evidently I have never taught anyone in my house how to change the toilet paper on the toilet paper roll. And
I'm ashamed to know you right now after hearing
I,
that.
I, they evidently have no idea.
That sounds like
They
chaos
just,
right there.
it is because every time I walk in there and it's just sitting on top, I'm not kidding, on top, a new roll on top of the empty roll on the toilet paper holder. Like, what is this device on the wall, Father? What do we do
You've
there?
created your own monster on that one.
I have. And it's those little things, but getting your kids to take care of themselves. And again, you want to take care of them. I mean, I still want to take care of even Fabian, and he's 18. He made his own doctor's appointment this week, and the
Way to
doctor had
go.
to
Good job there, fella.
reschedule, and he rescheduled it. And I'm like, man, he's like, yeah, and I got my prescription coming into the local pharmacy, but I'm gonna have to switch it back over for summer. I already arranged that, so we've got that taken care of when we go for summer break. And I'm like, dude,
You
you
know,
were adulting hard, man.
you know
And
what though? It's to be honest, and this is going to sound real bad, but I think it's also very true. Kids these days, like, and coming into being an adult, they have it so much easier than we did when it came to just that, setting up appointments and keeping schedules and that kind of stuff because you're not carrying around a big paper book with all these pages in
right.
it trying to like write down everything. You have a smartphone with apps and
Mhm.
alarms and an electronic calendar and all this stuff and it's like that's what you have to sit down and be like, all right, once
Uh-huh.
they get their smartphone it's like, all right, you got to sit down and have just a tutorial based just on like, hey, like this is how you do this. Here's my chart. This is how you set up a doctor's appointment. You
Uh-huh.
know, here's how you use this specific pharmacy's app to be able to just request through the
Hmm.
app
Hmm.
a prescription and all that stuff. But once you get it set, you're good. Like
Yeah.
the
You're
initial
set.
startup is always the most annoying part because
Hmm.
there's lots of pieces to it. But then after that, it's just as simple as opening up the app. Oh, boom, hit a button, renew. Okay, sweet. Like
Hmm.
and I'll get a notification when it's ready and I can go pick it up and
Hmm.
back in the day, it was like you had to walk in with like a paper script, and we're like, "Here, I got this from the doctor," and they're like, "Great,
Right.
sit there and wait for an hour while
Just sit down while we get it for you.
you're in line," and it's like, oh my gosh, like it's such a
Yeah.
nightmare. And now it's that's probably one of the things that I love most about living in this time is just
Hmm.
the what streamlined
Yeah. The
ability
automation.
to do this stuff. Yeah,
So many things that we do, it's just like, oh, well, this is just going to be this then. And I mean, we literally have AI already helping us schedule our days,
yeah,
and
yeah.
to write your emails and everything else you've got going on. And I love it. I really love it. And teaching your kids to do that. We started with they have a computer they can get on their desktop. So I'm like, that's fine. I'm not going to stand here and watch you. There is a program on there to keep you from getting into places you shouldn't. If there's a place you think you need to go, we could talk about it, but it's pretty much adult safeguards on this.
Yep.
And here's the clock, and the clock has a timer. So when you get on, you set a timer or you set an alarm. So, because when they get home, I let them do whatever they want for like an hour until 5 o'clock. I'm just like, just because the school is so oppressive sometimes. And like if they're not having a good day, or they're just like, calm down, get a snack. Here's some apples and peanut butter and just go read a book, do whatever you want. I don't care. Go play in the yard, go play on your computer. So they have an alarm on all their devices that at 5 o'clock they have to come find me and make contact and say, okay, this is what my homework is, my school is, whatever. But just that one thing is such a game changer because then
Yeah.
they start realizing, oh, well, I can, like you said, I can just schedule my day. I can just make it so that I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I've got this amount of time. And just getting into especially if you have kids like I do that are ADHD, getting into the habit of having an alarm for everything you do in your life, or you'll
Yep.
forget it. It's
Oh
great.
yeah, definitely. Well, so some things like kind of starting with like little kids to get them ready. I always tell dads that, you're home with the little ones, you're doing laundry, like especially all them little socks that you're like, I don't want to match these things. Like
Yeah.
that's just a nightmare. Make it a game. Let them match them up. And if
Hmm.
they don't match up, great. Don't make a big deal about it, but let them, work on matching up what they need to and
Right.
throwing them into a basket. Make that fun too. And
Hmm.
just the whole
And
idea
you're
of showing
teaching
them
them
that.
colors.
Yeah.
This thing you have to recognize that your kid doesn't know what colors are. So, okay, we're going to find the green socks. These are
Yeah.
green socks. And then also
Or
numbers.
patterns.
No, yes, all of those
Pattern,
things.
all that stuff. Yeah.
And also, they're learning you got to match your socks because kids don't do that anymore. I don't know if you knew that, but it's a thing to not have matching socks
Yeah, that's
for
chaos
us up
too.
here.
I'm not going
And
there.
it's just like, can you? I I know you have matching socks, and Lizzie especially. She likes to wear them, but she wears knee highs, pulls them over her pants. Okay, sure.
Wait,
She's a
are you are
fashion
you
saver.
raising are you raising Pippi Longstocking? Is that what's going on?
I'm not sure, but it's hilarious because she's got the striped pattern, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's
I
Pippi
love you. You do
Longstocking.
what you want. Right. Right. And I don't know if she even knows who that is, but teaching her how to match her socks, not to get too far off the subject.
I mean, I know
But
there's a book about that, but there's a great movie on that too.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. But from the earliest age, you need to teach your kids to help you because your kids want to help you.
Yeah.
When they're young, all they want to do is help you. They want to
Hmm.
do stuff with you, whatever it is. And you can make it a game. You can make cleaning up a game. You can get a song for it. All of those things that you can do to make it fun. And I think for me, I had to disengage from how my parents and step parent taught me to clean, which is they're basically my stepdad is sitting there yelling at me while I'm trying to get stuff together. I mean, that's just all it is. Clean your room. And they never showed me how, never told me their expectations, never said
Yep.
this is what we do, never helped me clean my room, you
Mm.
know? And and looking at my kids, I'm like, oh, okay, wait. If I told you to clean the bathroom, what would you do? You know? And even Fabian, he was like, I don't know, take the trash out and maybe wipe stuff down with the towels, maybe clean the mirror. And I'm like, that's pretty good for somebody who has no idea what they're talking about. But teaching them how to do it, teaching them how to clean, teaching them how to change the toilet paper roll. Finally got my wife on that one, so I think I'm winning. I can now work on the kids. But doing it when they're two or
Yeah.
even younger, if
As
you're
soon as they can
cleaning up.
start walking, as soon as they can start walking around, really, like
Hmm.
you can do the littlest tasks, like even, here, like crumpling up a piece of paper and be like, go throw this in the trash. Like
Hmm.
them understanding that, what is considered trash and that we don't leave this around the house, like you throw it away type of deal.
Right.
And
Right.
just that is so like associating that so that, if something like say something drops off the table or onto the floor or whatever, like
Hmm.
they understand, oh, like, okay, that's, if it is something that's trash, like, all right, I need to go throw that away instead of just leaving it around
Right.
and expecting somebody else to come behind and do, that to pick up after them.
Hmm.
Because that's frustrating for anybody who's like, you don't know how to pick up after yourself. Like that's like, I, your parents are
Yeah, something missed. Let's
Yeah,
just say we're not going to talk bad about it. We're just going to say something didn't
something
hit
missed.
like
Yeah,
it
exactly.
should. Yeah.
Well, in like the dishwasher, that's probably one of the biggest things for me. Like I fold my own laundry. The kids fold their own laundry now because we've been doing it for so long, which my son, of course, is the one that's always like, oh, I gotta do this. Why do I gotta do this? And he's he's going on 12, 13, that kind of deal. And it's just like I get it, man. You're in that stage, but he's the one that I keep having conversations with about like your time is fleeting quickly. We need to
Yeah.
get this under control. But with the dishwasher, even as little kids, it was like, all right, um, so I would take the knives out, like, and basically just leave like butter knives and spoons and forks, and I'm like, all right, like you can put these away because again, that's a
Hmm.
matching thing. Like,
Right.
you got
Yeah.
drawers and that, and you know, little by little they learn different things, and little by little they figured out what was dangerous in the dishwasher, and
Hmm.
how to handle it too. That's the other thing. Like,
And leaving the steak knives in there, man, or the serrated knives, that's a life lesson.
eventually, yeah, yeah, it sure is. Don't.
That's a very stereotypical dad thing. It's like, yeah, no. They'll figure it out. As soon as it stabs them, they'll know not to do that again.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
No,
one
no,
ER
they
visit
don't
is
need to
about
learn,
enough for
right? They
that.
don't need to
Yeah.
learn that lesson. It's
No, you don't
fine.
need to learn that. Yeah,
You can get
one
poked on a
screaming.
fork. You know, a fork will poke you and it won't break the skin. You learn
Yeah,
that lesson that
yeah.
way.
One bleeding, screaming child is enough to be like, all right, like we're done with that test, type of
Yeah.
deal. Um, but yeah, so the dishwasher is a big one. I mean, the kids even like they have their own laundry basket, like in between their room outside in the hallway, and they throw all their laundry in there. And I'm like, hey, like when it gets full or you realize you need something, bring it down. And or there'll be times where I'm like, hey, like I'm taking laundry down. Do you have anything you want to bring down?
Hmm.
Type of deal. And they know how to run the washer and dryer, and they
Yes.
know what needs to be done. And so it's just instilling all those things slowly but surely. And trust me, it's going to be frustrating. We talked about this. Like it slows the process down. The same thing with kids. Like, I want to help
So
cook. And you're
much.
like, Matt Strain is such a proponent of like, okay, everything's going to slow way down compared to how
Yeah.
fast I could do it myself. But
Yes.
your kids need to know how to do these things. So grind through it, praise them when they
Hmm.
do it right, teach them what they need to know better how to do kind of thing.
Hmm.
And it's a constant routine of that. Like I said, Hezekiah is very much of like the I don't want to hold the laundry. And I'm like, dude, do you want wrinkled clothes? Like, do you want that? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, the girls ain't gonna they don't really want to see some wrinkly dude come into like he's not really like into girls, but at this like right
Yeah.
now, like or anything like that, like he could care less. But at the same time too, like I'm just like I mean, do you want your boys being like, what did you do, man? Did you just like sleep in your pile of clothes this morning? Like
Yeah.
what is that all about? But those kind of just little pokes and prods of, hey, not that you have to be worried about what other people think of you, but at the same time, like there is appearances that are worth taking the time
Hmm.
to
Yeah. Just to
look like
present
you.
yourself with respect.
Yeah,
You know, that you're
exactly.
not really trying to meet a standard per se, but you're just like, no, I respect myself. I take care of myself. I fold my laundry,
Yeah.
which also you have to reach a point that you just let them not.
Oh
So
yeah, no, there's definitely that.
I'm just like, this is your decision. And currently, as of a few months ago, every single one of my kids does their own laundry.
Nice.
And Fabian came back from college, right? It was just for the winter break. And they were talking about people at school were talking about how they had this huge load of laundry to take home and to let their mom wash it for them. And Fabian's like, they just take it home and their mom washes it. What is that? They don't know how to do their own laundry. And I'm like, isn't that appalling? That's horrible. What a terrible human being. You should always do your own laundry, because I don't want to do it. I don't want to do mine hardly. I separated Marnie's and mine. I got to that point. We have two hampers now. And I'm like, no, that's your hamper over there that you are still a goalkeeper and you don't let anything go in the basket. It's all around it and hanging over the sides, and mine's right here. And this is the one I'm washing and putting away, and you can handle your stuff. I still do wash her laundry. I don't want to say that I don't do it, but it's the idea of you take care of yourself and other people. And
Yeah.
your
Corey doesn't let me
kids,
do her laundry.
good, good. And that's a skill, buddy. That's teaching your partner, oh, I can't do that job well enough. I guess you'll have to do it yourself. That's genius.
But there is a fun little like house joke between the two of us, and it's the laundry fairy.
Oh
And
yeah.
the laundry fairy comes around either when the laundry fairy is just annoyed that there are tons of clean clothes sitting in laundry baskets, and it's
Yep.
and they just miraculously get folded and then just sat on the bed, like all over the bed, like it's done, but it's up to you to do the last part.
Hmm.
But my wife
Yep.
always like, oh, the laundry fairy visited, because she'll have a whole big, basket full of clean clothes, and I'm just like, girl, you are in the business world, and I'm just like, it drives me nuts that like this is sitting here. So I spend the time folding it, just loving on her with it, and she'll come walking in and be like, oh, the laundry fairy came.
Hmm.
Or they'll be like, there was one time I remember I was doing something else. I'd done a bunch of things that day, and I hadn't, like, her clothes were sitting there, and she was like, "Oh, the laundry fairy didn't come." But I guess I can expect that, seeing as how you were busy doing this, and
Hmm. Right. Yeah.
so, and it's not an expectation or anything like that, but it's just become this like fun little running joke with the
Hmm.
two of us.
Yeah. And I love it too because the expectation is that you will become an adult
Yeah.
who can handle yourself, who can take care of yourself, who can solve your problems, or just for all the dads out there dealing with toddlers and teenagers and all of that, they can help you. It will make the job take longer, but you can teach them so that when they're tall enough, they can make coffee for you. You can teach them to make breakfast or dinner. James took a culinary class in high school this past semester, and
Nice.
he makes bread. He makes pastries. He makes, I mean, like spaghetti and stuff is easy. You don't even think about it. And every time he's like, how can I do this different, Dad? I'm wondering, my culinary teacher said this. And every time I say, really, your culinary teacher said that. Have you ever heard anyone in this house, pointing at myself, say that to you? And he's like, I mean, I don't really. I'm like, it's fine as long as you learn the lesson. It's like when we
You,
no food in the sink. Food doesn't go in the sink. You take a paper towel if you need to, or a spoon, whatever, wipe it into the trash can. That's where it goes. And I went up to it once and I'm like, yeah. And he's doing it. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. You doing it? He goes, yeah, my culinary teacher taught me this. Sure, they did. But having your
it's
children that can
always
take care
outside of
of
the
you.
inner circles
It
type of
is. I'm like,
thing.
I am right here. I know I've told you guys this. But again, and I know that I've taught them how to change the toilet paper roll. I say I haven't simply because it doesn't happen. It's just like, they must not know. They can't really look at this and not take that extra 5 seconds to do this. But of course they can because adults do it all the time. So,
Right, exactly. Well, and like you were talking about with the culinary thing, like especially the fact that he knows how to do pastries and breads
mhm.
and things and learning that kind of stuff. Like, he stays on that. If you were to go in and basically kind of finish up at even like a junior college with that, you could walk into pretty much any decent restaurant and become a pastry chef. And that's
Yeah, if
not
you
a
enjoy it,
bad
especially.
that's not a bad gig, honestly,
Yeah.
because a
Yeah.
lot of that's just pre stuff. You don't really have to be there on site like in the evening. So
Hmm.
it's like you come in there in the morning and prep it all, and then you get your evenings to yourself, which
Right.
not a bad little gig. So that's really cool.
I love
Uh,
it that he bakes and I cook, right?
Ooh, there you
He
go.
he doesn't like to cook as much as I do
That's a
because
duo right
it's
there.
not a recipe. It's not a this is it. It's like with baking is a science. You put
Hmm.
exactly this much, no more, no less. You do exactly this way, and the bread will come out. If you change any of it, which I always do, something goes wrong. Because every time I make spaghetti sauce, I do it a little bit different.
Uh-huh.
I'll add more Italian seasoning. I'm going to grind up some red pepper flakes, but I'm going to get some sambal oil and drop it in there just a little bit, and just do things like that. And every time I see him twitch a little, because he's so very logical and this is the way things and this is the amounts and everything. And I'm like, a handful. He's like, but no, how much is that, Dad? I'm like, this much. And I put it in. He's like, I don't even want to do it. I'm like, yeah, you
A
make the
pinch of
bread.
this, a dash of that.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. Come on, you taste it and you see where it's like, well, you cannot taste it with bread. You cannot go along and go, I should add some more salt now.
Oh, no, no.
So it's
Yeah. Well,
delightful though.
actually, that kind of reminds me. There's a show on Apple TV that I just started watching the other day with Brie Larson called Lessons in Science or Lessons in Chemistry.
Okay.
It's set back in like the 1950s, and she's like one of very few female chemists in the United States, and
Hmm.
you just see her like meticulousness towards her work, but also too when she's at home, she likes to cook, and so she treats that in the same manner. So she actually has this book that she will like keep track of how she made something and like what it was missing and something like that. Like there was one point where she
Cool.
made this lasagna, and she's like, "It's almost there." She's like, "This is try 78."
Oh
And I'm
wow,
like, wow.
78.
But I mean, like even as far as like she make like a blackberry pie, and like they show how meticulous she is in, like the acidity and like all these different, like she literally has
Hmm.
like a chemistry set up in this
Yeah.
kitchen,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
it's
that makes
really just
sense.
neat.
That's yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just it's a very interesting show. There's a lot of other things to it I really won't get into, but just this was the fact of like a female that has all of this confidence and brain power to do this in a time when that is looked down upon drastically for
Hmm.
females.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
parts in the show where you just want to throw a shoe at quite a few of the male actors.
Hmm.
You're like, it's an
Yeah.
actor. This is all
This is
like,
just they're faking. This is not who they
yeah.
really are.
But at the same time, you're like, I know this happened for real, and that's what's frustrating as well. So, but no, like
Hmm.
that. But just the like you said, just the fact that when you're cooking and doing those things, that there's steps for it, and measurements and things like that. And I could see how somebody who's like, I followed this, and you're just in here just like tossing things in like a
Like a
freaking wish into a
madman.
black
Yeah,
cauldron in the
right.
woods, like.
Yes. Yes. It bugs him so much. It's so funny. But and it bugs Marnie too, because Marnie will love the way I cook something and I'll do it differently the next time. I won't add as much salt or I'll add more, just something I'll do different. She's like, I mean, it's good, but it was better last time. And I'm like, babe, that's a once in a lifetime thing. Whatever you had last time, it'll never happen again. Okay. I'm doing my best here. And the thing is I am stupidly stubborn. I really am. And I've said this, something like this in the past, that I will not follow a recipe because it's trying to tell me what to do. And I figured that out last year. I'm looking at it, I'm going, and it's making me mad that I have to stick to the I'm like, no, I'm not, I don't want to, you just do this thing. Why do I have to read every single line on this thing? I just
See,
want to do it.
this is why there's always extra bolts when you're putting something together, Danny. That's like,
Yes. Yeah. It's why I love Legos, but I can't put them together. And I mean, I don't have the mindset,
well,
but
and but even with Lego, you still have things left over. Which is funny about that is that like it's nothing that actually is used. It's just Lego basically being like, hey, like you did a great job. Here's just a few extra
some extra
pieces just to
pieces.
make it
Yeah.
just to have that like, oh, there's always extra pieces.
Hmm. Yeah. But learning which one of my kids work better with an exact formula of how to do something and which ones want to just kind of wing it. That's been a big difference for me because Fabian was like me. He's like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll just like do it kind of like this. I'm like, yeah, kind of like that. That'll work. And that's why I won't do woodworking. That's why I like blacksmithing because you're close. You don't have to get it exact. I mean, you get it. Yeah, we knocked it too far. We'll just hammer it back where it goes. Whereas
Right.
woodworking, measure twice, cut once. I'm like, I don't even want to measure once, man. And figuring out which one of my kids responds to which one of those or to something
Yeah.
different, really. And being able to go, okay, cool. I can't give you a recipe. I have to give you an idea. And this is the general idea of what we want to do with this. Go,
Yep.
you know? And that's with really all chores, all tasks, every adult thing you want them to learn, including doctor's appointments, learning to drive. And for everyone out there, I know those are long-term things for a lot of people, but I think the point of what we're trying to say is you start these things early. You make it really an expectation. There isn't a, hey, we're going to clean up your room now. It's you keep your room clean.
Yeah.
Now I've not perfected that one. I'll admit.
Oh yeah.
I have one kid that keeps that keeps her room clean, and I'm out of four. I'm going to say that's a win.
Yeah, I feel you on that because I will go upstairs and be like, I need a path from the door to your bed. Like,
Yeah, I
you gotta
just need,
do
yes.
something with all of this stuff. And Hezekiah's got that figured out pretty well. Ruby, not so much, but she's younger, and that kind of just lots of accumulation. Which that's another thing too, like accumulation of toys and whatnot. Kids are gonna go through these cycles of like, oh yeah, I'm playing with this, and then it just sits. And so
Hmm.
we've gotten to the point where I literally take up a laundry basket and I'm like, start going through your room cleaning up. If you come across things that you're just like, I didn't even realize I had this, like, I don't play with this anymore. I always just like, there's a basket out here. We'll go take
Hmm.
them someplace where there are kids of those ages that would love
Hmm.
that, whether it be Goodwill or, maybe somebody's got a daycare or something along those lines. If it's
Hmm.
something, or buy nothing groups on Facebook that you can just put
Yeah.
things out for. And
Yeah.
so the kids do a lot of, just that thrashing of, or threshing actually of putting
Yes.
those
Threshing.
yeah, threshing. I was like, that's the
Yeah.
word, not thrashing, threshing. Of just going through and thinning out what's in their room.
Hmm.
And I think that's a great way too to teach kids as they get older in life that you're going to accumulate a bunch of stuff. And there are times where you just have to basically like kind of grind through, all right, I do I need this? No, okay. Like, can I get rid of it? Can I
Hmm.
give it to somebody? Is it something that can be reused, whatever that looks like? And we're getting ready to do that here in the house. We've been here for 10 years now in this house, which is just mind blowing to think. And we've accumulated a lot of stuff. And
Hmm.
so, and we also, too, are housing some things for a friend as well. And it's like, okay, we're going to invite them over to kind of figure out what they want to do with some of that stuff, which
Yeah.
she's a widow who lost her husband during COVID, and
Oh yeah.
so we had their stuff because they were in an apartment, and so we've been very gently walking through things with
Hmm.
her. But also too, like we've got so much stuff, and it's
Hmm.
like, okay, what can we get rid of? There's a lot of, I mean,
Hmm.
there's boxes of things. I'm like, I don't even know what's in these boxes.
Right. Right.
Like
It's
this
been
stuff
there
is
for
from
3 years.
college or whatever. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I guarantee there are like three boxes of just college textbooks
Hmm.
sitting for
Well,
what? I don't know.
I'm going to turn my background off because I want my children to not look like this. To not these are three bookshelves across the back of my office, and every single shelf is full of stuff. Now, each shelf does kind of have a theme-ish of like this is the stuff where I put here, what have
Yep.
you, but it's all just I mean, it's not junk to me, of
Yeah.
course, but
Sure.
like when I die, I want all of this stuff to have already found a place. And what I want is to teach my kids that you don't have to have all of these things. You don't have to buy
Yeah.
every single, squishable that you see. You don't have to have the full collection. You don't have to have all of the toys. You can look at something and appreciate it and not buy it because
Yep.
we didn't have enough growing up, and so I'm a clutter monster. I want to buy everything. I want to buy a t-shirt everywhere I go. Brock, I have two piles of t-shirts because now
Oh,
I've lost weight, so I'm wearing my older t-shirts now, so I pulled them all out. I have three drawers full and then two piles on top of my dresser of t-shirts. And I'm like, what am I doing?
oh,
Why
yeah.
what is this? But I love every single one of them. And I could have a picture of these things. Just take a picture of the t-shirt and put it somewhere. What do some kind of like background for my computer or phone and just every once in a while shows up. I don't have to wear this every day, right? But this kind of clutter is what I'm hoping, and I think I've already
Yeah.
failed, but I'm hoping my kids will go out and they're like, no, I just want a minimum, you know? I
Yep.
don't need 700. I don't need every single copy of the Starfinder books or whatever, and that's these over here. And I don't need, all of these models that I want to put together unless I have a place to send them, put them, hang them, display them, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Well,
but
I will just
good
you
luck.
brought up the large amount of t-shirts, which I have a decent pile of those too, and actually go through and weed through them from time to time when I can. But I say this only I say this in love. My parents have a problem when it comes to t-shirts, and which is really funny too, because my mom just told me recently that she's listened to the show from time to time, so she might hear this. I don't know, but
Yeah.
she knows. But the thing with it is that they have like the base portion of I think it's their waterbed from back in the day, but it was like dressers, and
Okay.
so
Yeah.
it's either that or it's just an old dresser. I don't know what it is, but basically we're talking like three stacks worth that are like four dressers wide, and they have them stacked up
Wow.
downstairs in where like I grew up in a room that was half bedroom, half utility room because this is
Hmm.
just this like kind of older put together house,
Hmm.
and it's literally a wall. Like that's how they've kind of got it set up. And
Yeah.
no joke, every single one of those drawers is full of t-shirts. So there's like 16 drawers of t-shirts easily.
Wow. All right, I don't feel so bad. I don't have enough t-shirts, evidently. There's a higher level of t-shirt ownership that I haven't reached.
Like but my thing is that, what do you do with stuff like that? And one of the things that I've seen recently is you can have them made into blankets.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that idea. Maybe not so much for keeping it for myself, but just the idea of making it into a blanket and then maybe taking it to a homeless shelter. And
Hmm.
then those people have a blanket type of deal because
Hmm.
they're going to be, decently weighted because of the way t-shirts are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because, they cut the sleeves off of them in the neck and it's just the square of the graphic or whatever. But that might be something, not so much saying for you, but for anybody who's got that sort of like, what do I do with
Your
this? Like
mom.
there are places, my mom, yeah, especially my mom. She was so happy with herself.
We
Actually, that
love you,
was the other
mom.
thing that yeah. So her birthday was just recently, and she was like, "Yeah, I went through and I actually like weeded out some of my t-shirts," which I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah," and I took them down to the Goodwill. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's awesome." And I'm just like, I guarantee it's like a scratch on concrete compared to like what's truly there. But hey, A for effort. Like you.
Hmm.
Definitely. Even though effort starts with an E, I don't understand why people say A for effort, but
You get an A plus, not a B, C, D,
yeah,
or F, because there's no E in that entire framework. So obviously you'd have to go with A for effort. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. E for effort. Sure.
English, man. English.
Gotta love it.
Best
Well,
language
anyway,
ever.
I hope that this conversation encourages the listeners just in the fashion of maybe if they're feeling sort of like in this place of what do I do? How do I even get this started? And that also is a lot of the conversations that go on in the dad lounge too. Because you get guys that are just like, I just need to talk about this crazy crap going on in my house and
Hmm.
need somebody from an outside perspective to basically like give me a shot in the arm and tell me what's up.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I love about that. So hopefully this conversation sparks that as well, just conversations to be had on. But this was fun, man. This was a fun topic to talk about today.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like both of us, in a way, are kind of, for lack of a better word, proud of the job we've done
We
with
are
our
dads,
kids. We really are. I mean, I don't like to use pride. I don't like to have pride, but realistically, we put in the investment
right?
from the time our children were very, very small and allowed them to slow down every process that we ever did. But it comes to fruition. It teaches them to be somebody that can solve their own problems and can do the work that you need to do to be an adult. And I have to say, I don't like being proud of myself, but I'm proud of you. I think you've done a great job.
You
So
too, man. You've done a great job as well. So,
I appreciate it. Thank
and
you.
all you dads out there, man, you got this. And you got us to bounce ideas off of. So use the resources that are there
Yep.
because that's what we're here for. So thanks for listening. Make sure to share and like this episode and any others that you've listened to of ours. Help spread the word for the show. But until next time, we'll talk to you all next week.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.